Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new Let's Play series in Hearts of Iron for Kaiserreich. Today, we're playing a defending government over here in northern China in Manchuria. So, I'm not too sure what kind of defending government we're going to be. I don't know if we're going to be pro-Japan or anti-Japan. I haven't decided that quite yet. If you do have a opinion on that, do let me know in the comments down below. Maybe I'll take that into consideration. But for now, where do you want to begin with? We'll begin with the only focus we can actually take. Time political power. Seems okay. We are starting off with 15 divisions. I don't know how good they are. Oh, they're garbage. And the infantry aren't that bad. They could be better. We can have up to 25 divisions. We got a total population of 39.79 million. That's pretty good. I got 1 million manpower off that. We're just right now unlimited. Civilian, export, basic, what you'd be expect to begin the game off with. Backward industry, not great. Pretty bad. Not great. Also not great. Yeah, you're okay. And you're also bad. So you got a lot of terrible national spirits. And of course, because we are playing as a Chinese faction, we do have the army reforms over here. Oh, apparently we actually start off with 1 star. Excellent. Because of the army reform in China, I will not be taking the army and navy experience, so that does kind of break this a little bit. Militarized diminishing truck. Beyond northeast. We'll not take that for now. Expel Japanese officers. We get 100 political power off that. We can do that at some point. Probably don't want to do it immediately, I would be my guess. And the Grand Marshal's favor. So Concordia has 14%. Communications Clique has 18%. Cover League has 40%. And the Zen Clique has 28%. And I'm assuming that's tied to ideologies here. Yes, they are. So the liberals, who are the Japanese. You are the political faction of the former Beijing government. Okay. Recovery League is loose association of fallen generals, governors, and bureaucrats. And the Zen Clique are a collection of loyals and generals. And they have no ideology beyond promoting the powers of us. So, I mean, it seems we're seeming like an okay position now. We're going to get all of our units, and we're going to immediately throw those straight over to the Qing border, because that's really the only major opponent we should be facing off right now. You are a substance abuser. I'm not too sure exactly what that does. I do see that you have it as well, and even the our field marshal has it, so hopefully that's not so bad. I have no idea what the penalty of that actually is. We'll find out in due time. So we have 13 civilian factories. We'll use that to... Let's build like 1 more for now. We have 6 military factories right now on infantry equipment and total artillery. I'm going to switch one of those immediately to interwar bomber. Put 2 factories on that. And dockyards, we'll have them just build convoys for now. And technology, we will go for our lovely, lovely basics. And aside from that, we could train... Actually, could we train units? We have 1,000 equipment. I don't know. Do I want to train units? Yeah. We'll get like 5. Again, I don't think the wars will be breaking out immediately, or at least I hope not. The bastion in the north. As the year 1936 dawns, Fengtian stands in the northeast as the final bastion of China's Republican dream. As with the many things in China, however, the abstractions of this dream hide complex and often inconvenient truths. The parent government of the Republic of China, contesting the Qing government's claim to legitimacy, maintains democracy only as a thin veneer, covering what has always been, and perhaps always will be, an authoritarian state. The assembly in Shenyang is widely considered to be corrupt, power divided between autocratic generals, unscrupulous railroad barons, the Pan-Asian ideologues with questionable motives, and amid all of it stands Grand Marshal Zhang Zhaolin. His ambitions great, but limited by the stark realities of Zili's strength and Japanese power. We're now forced to walk the political tightrope between the two, and above the machinations of his own divided government, status quo cannot last forever. If the right moment to strike south is not chosen soon, it may never come at all. The staggering cost of the wars in the south and the severe of the economic ties left Fengtian reeling. While past years have been spent rebuilding what is there's still much left to do. Likewise, the army is suffering from neglect and must be reorganized. The Japanese, their influence growing by the day, present both dire threat and an opportunity. The waters ahead are treacherous, and it will be a great helmsman to steer the ship of state, not only to survival, but also towards the reclamation of all of China. Briefings are available on Fengtian's special mechanics, its relationship with the Japanese, and internal politics. Okay, so we can actually see some more information here. One of the special mechanics. Defending government is unstable, pressured from without and within. Ultimately, fusion of elements that would be contradictory were not for their shared goals. The parties, more accurately termed factions, exercise their grip through dominance of the country's institutions instead of mass appeal. As such, the popularity of parties should be taken to represent their degree of control over the country's government and other structures of power. Control being determined not by popular policies of ministers, but by choices, focuses, and events that increase or diminish their power. Consequently, your aim should be to balance various factions, each of which has potential to abuse their power if given too much of it, though each will do so differently. As they grow in strength, the faction will nominate ministers, each of whom will pursue their own agenda, potentially in line with their faction or their country, which could also have negative consequences in the short or long term. Another crucial point is the role of the Concordia Association, also explained in the politics briefing, the strength of which is taken a loose indicator of Japanese influence over the country. As their influence grows, it will lead to increased bonuses to production at the cost of political power and autonomy. The rise of influence is inevitable over time and should be viewed with caution. Briefing on the politics. We have the four political factions. Recovery League, a loose association of fallen generals, governors, bureaucrats, and politicians without any strong ideological affiliation, most of whom find themselves in Fengtian because there are few other places where they may hold any semblance of power. Easily bribed and tempted, they often serve to promote the interests of whoever is willing to pay. Consequently, the League is highly splintered despite controlling a large portion of the assembly, lacking the political will to act decisively. The Zhang Clique. A collection of loyalists and generals, the Zhang Clique holds no political ideology beyond promoting the furtherance of Grand Marshal's political powers. While making pretenses of democracy, Zhang supporters are not committed to Republican ideals and promote them only for their utility. Communications Clique. The sole political cohort faction to emerge from the former Beijing government, Communications Clique are a collection of railroad and telephone barons, primarily self-interested, while locked in confrontation with the Mazatsu and the Concordia Association over the country's infrastructure. In the Concordia Association, a group of politicians and lobbyists, all with the trappings of a party, the Concordia Association represents the interests of Mantutsu and sometimes other Japanese Zaibatsu in the assembly. Their actual ideological positions vary, some using the Japanese to counter Zhang's power for their own gain, while others subscribing to Pan-Asian principles. And the Japanese. The Japanese exercise their power in Fengtian through a series of treaties permitting them not only extraterritorially, also the right to live and work in Fengtian more or less as if they were citizens. While the Grand Marshal and others utilize a wide variety as a means to slow and inconvenience the Japanese, the presence is necessary and the growth of their influence inevitable. Primary institution responsible for the growth of the South Manchurian Railroad Company, more commonly known as the Mantutsu. The profits from which in recent years have accounted for nearly a quarter of Japan's entire national budget. At the same time, the Japanese need Fengtian, and what represents its cooperation and the prospect of victory in the South offer to save Japan a great deal of time and money. The result is a tenuous balance, and the Japanese ever look for more profit and power. Well aware that pushing too hard will place Zhang Zhaolin in a political untenable position, and thus bring their careful efforts to naught. So far, Zhang has pursued a password policy promoting Pan-Asian brotherhood with Japan, only to intermittently replace this with repudiations of Japanese initiatives that push too far. Consistent private efforts to lessen Japanese influence. How to proceed will be your choice, but caution is advised. So I don't know if we want to go... The thing with going pro-Japanese is that if you go too pro-Japanese, you end up just being a Japanese puppet state, which is not a ton of fun. Okay, we got observed rights on the voting council, that's great. And record Matsu profits. South Manchurian Railroad Company, Clique Mantutsu, long dominated large sectors of Fengtian's economy, and in turn acts as Japan's primary means of influence over our government. While this influence is unwelcome, it brings crucial capital and technology without the Grand Marshal could never hope to retake China. The company has today announced record profits, much of which goes to Japan's government in the form of tax revenue. Lose political power, they get more influence, and we do get some more stability. We're 17, 17, 38, 27. So I'm not too sure. We can favor different leagues. I wouldn't... Communication League... We could maybe try to support them, but 75 political power is a little expensive, for sure. Got Qing troops on the southern border. Let's prepare a invasion into Beijing. And what I want to try to do... Press regional sentiment. We want to subjugate? Or, I think we want to try to see if we can get the unification by negotiation. I think that could be very interesting. And just have everybody in China align themselves with the Fengtian government. Because we can get everybody in China to align with us. we can throw the Japanese out of China entirely. Fingers crossed. Also, there's been an assassination. Excellent. On his way to government officers, a member of the communications clique was gunned down in public by what appears to be a Zili loyalist, recruited from amongst the northeast Manchu population. Qing government has been known to recruit spies and assassins before, but some rumors suggest that the assassin was instead hired by members of the Concordia Association, locked in conflict with the communication clique's railway and telegraph barons, for control of the country's infrastructure. So basically just bad for us. Excellent. And an opportunity arises. In the years since the Fengtian armies retreat beyond the Great Wall, a watchful eye has been kept on the south. The natural choke point created by the Shanghai Pass has always been made it hard for the elite armies to get in, but equally difficult to get for our own to get out. Any effort to reclaim China has always depended on a moment of sudden weakness. Such a moment now seems to arrive. A simmering anti-German sentiment has now erupted into violence in the League of Eight provinces, and the governor of Anhai is broken away from Nanjing, hoping to leverage the League and the central government against one another for his own gain. Unfortunately, we're not ready to begin our long-awaited campaign, as there's outstanding issues in the northeast to be settled, and it's not clear exactly what will become the situation in the League. We must now wait and watch for the right opportunity. What we know is about to break apart, which is going to be excellent for us being the defending government. And rumors incite regionalist uproar. Although no plans have been made public or even exist in anything approaching a final form, rumors have already begun to spread that the Fengtian army is preparing to march south and conquer Beijing within the next month. The scattered news coming in from the south has inspired a potential mix of excitement and concern. Confrontations are already broken out in tea rooms, bars, and other public places between ardent nationalist and regionalist Dongbei party members. Dongbei party is not a political party in any real sense, and more of a nickname applied to detractors of any espousing doubts of Zhang Zhao's mission to reunite the country. A certain number of local officials and bureaucrats, including school teachers, share this kind of skepticism and have brought to organizing protests criticizing what they view as a costly and unnecessary war. Naturally, the government will not refute the rumors, as that might free up Beijing's hand to intervene in the League crisis. So we're now at negative 50% war support on you. Oh, wait, no, now it's negative 20, negative 5% stability. Excellent. Preserve the revolution. We can take actions against the regionalist. The Recovery League gets a little bit more influence. And what do we need for you? Owns Jingzhou. We need to suppress the regionalists for this. Fun town protocols. Let's suppress regionalist sentiment first. We can't have the regionalists want to detract away from our invasion of China and our eventual unification of the entire country. Because if they do that, it would be quite sad for me. What do we have? We're missing a little bit of aluminum, a little bit of rubber. That's for our aircraft that we're trying to build. How many aircraft does Qing have? 47 to 104. We have 70. And the illusion of Qing hegemony shatters. The regionalists take action, shouting Dongbei Vai Dongbaron, or the Northeast for Northeastern people. Protesters have gathered near the Grand Marshal's Palace in Harbin Sophia Square and outside Jilin's Medical College, demanding an end to war preparations. Their numbers are not great enough to present serious problems, and the police have already begun dispatching to maintain order, but this is only part of an ongoing campaign which tries to undermine public confidence in the regime. If the whole Northeast cannot be unified behind the Great Marshal's dream to reunite all of China, then how can it ever be realized? Well, we're going to suppress the hell out of them. That's how we're going to realize it. Okay, the left KMT have now risen up. The League of Eight provinces should shatter in just a moment. We should get the Hunan Clique and like Wangzhou Clique? I don't remember which one actually pops up here. And Qing's declared war. The Lingyang Clique. There's the Hunan Clique. And hot-headed allies. Chen Daoying of the Anzhong Clique, our newly committed ally, as well as Zheng Zhaocheng, was not... Oh wait, who has long held a good relation with us and fought on our side a long time ago, did not have a good friendship. What makes matters worse is that Chen sees Anqi as his aunt... Repeat that sentence. What makes matters worse is that Chen sees his Anqing Clique as the rightful ruler of all the primary 5 provinces that made up the League. Zheng seeks to enter a conflict as well, but most likely will not be satisfied if he is left with nothing, which is bound to happen if Chen insists on controlling all the 5 provinces. We'll have to rethink our, we will have to begin thinking of a solution because we most definitely do not want war between our allies. So can I see the Chinese factions? We of course are the Anjun leader, Federalist leader, Left KMT leader. Xiaodong is aligned with us. Wait, who else is aligned with us? Xiaodong and Anqing. So you're both aligned with us, but you're both a little bit upset with us at the same time. They've claimed our territory. Are you at war with each other? Because I don't want my potential allies in the region to be at war. But if they do end up going to war, who would I want to back? Probably whoever has the largest army. 11 to 22, 3 to 6. So if there was a war, we definitely back the Anqing Clique. Like, there's no question about that at all. Just because they have more men. Okay. Suppressive sentiment. Regionalists take action. Protesters gather again in several prominent locations in northeastern cities. Their numbers were not great enough to present serious problems, but they did not stop police from cracking down hard, wading through masses with clubs and rifle butts, and scattering fleeing protesters in the crowded side streets. Angered by violence, as some Deng party members have already vowed to return in greater even numbers, let us hope that this quick and decisive response will deter all but the movement's hardliners, making them all the easier to round up and silence. More concerning is talk among members of local trade associations, chambers of commerce, and assemblies of a tax boycott. Unlike some young students, these older men remember the hard times late last decade when war expenditures outgrew the northeastern economy and sent it into economic freefall. And Concordia Association nominates a new economic minister. Thanks to the growing influence of the government, the Concordia Association has nominated Ruan Zhaorun for the position of economic minister. Though trained as a doctor and not an economist, Brown's extended ties to the Japanese in the medical field led to his meteoric rise in politics. He now acts as a primary go-between for the Japanese Foreign Ministry and the Concordia Association. While his lack of expertise in economics may be a concern, Round is known to be diligent. The Japanese foreign minister's handling events in Fengtian is notably more cautious than that of Manchuria or the Kuomintang army. Opposition ultimately left to the Grand Marshal. So resource gain goes up a little bit more construction speed. I don't like you very much, but for right now, I don't want to anger the Japanese. What I want to do next, suppress regional sentiment. After this, requires us to go for this focus, so we will take it. Get that going ASAP. And regionalists take actions. Protests gather in a number of streets. I think we literally just had this exact event, so we're not going to read it a second time over. For what I would hope to would be obvious reasons. An offer from the Kempantai. Kempantai, the Japanese Army's extrajudicial police force, have taken note of our regionalist problem and has come forward with a partial solution. The white network of informants, they cleaned up information on a number of figures underpinning the regionalist movement, information they have volunteered. In response, we must provide intelligence on several anti-Japanese agitators and insurgents who have so far slipped through their fingers, not in least due to their own interferences, or to our own interference. So far, it has been convenient for us to keep in contact with these nationalists, pending cases where we need to push back against Japanese influence. Is this one of those cases? We take the deal and offer these people up on a silver platter. So we complete a focus automatically. Justify mass arrest. Recovery League gets less points here. Or we do this. I'm going to say no to this one. We're going to justify mass arrest independently. I don't want to give up potential nationalist elements within the Fengtian government. I think that's going to, in the end, backfire against us. And we have, we're slowly trading more units, but it's going to take a while. The Gang of Three. There's a little coalition of generals, governors, and bureaucrats. Has been, okay, is this the same event? No. As a loose coalition of fallen generals, governors, bureaucrats, and politicians exiled from the South by the collapse of the Beijing government, the Recovery League is widely acknowledged to be susceptible to corruption. However, recent discoveries by police have turned up something unusually troubling. It seems that a group of Recovery League politicians who were made mayors of townships in Jin, owing to their experience with governing in the South, had in fact never been mayors anywhere or at all. Instead, they had been killed or replaced their namesakes, and through a complicated plot to deceit, fool the authorities while eliminating any who might contradict them. The web of lies, corruption, and murder necessary to sustain this falsehood stretches across the whole of the province, The damage dealt to government's legitimacy is not inconsiderable. Okay, excellent. Thank you. How did you... Cool. So we got a bunch of liars all throughout the entire country. A bunch of mayors are just not actually mayors at all. I guess we'll take the 1918 weapons. And I did not click the right button. There we go. The Shaonong and Qing War Conference. So this is a war against these two, right? Well, they're not at war quite yet. But I think we'll begin by reading this event next time. But just for right now, I think this will be a good time for us to end this episode. So thanks everybody for watching. My name is Anthem. If you enjoyed, give a thumbs up. Not enjoy, click thumbs down. Want to subscribe, and goodbye.